Barnes & Noble, baby.
Oh my god!
Not even all, but just one Barnes & Noble. That's why I'm laughing.
It's really Barnes that was the issue.
Noble was
Mr.
fine.
Noble was fine, but Barnes,
Mr. Noble's a consummate gentleman.
he was an irascible fiend. No, they've just their business model is so like progressive and so woke now. Like the books that they're selling in Barnes and Noble were just astounding, just astounding.
Hey, Barnes & Noble, more like bad and no good. Am I right? Got him.
Eventually,
60,000
we just need to start hitting a rim shot when you dunk on them.
We'll get it in post.
Good morning, guys. Cheers.
Andrew's like, we ain't getting shit in post.
There is no post. We're not even posting this.
So we fired the Filipino man who was editing our podcast.
Yeah, I put a Mrs.
The man that,
Mr.
yeah, the man that we hired on Fiverr to edit our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He has been outsourced.
Definitely wasn't me.
Nope.
Now
I'm
we're
not
going to
responsible.
insource.
Insource these nuts. Well, this is good. This was a good podcast, guys.
I feel good about it. You want to wrap it up? You want to cut
It's
it?
been about an hour.
Got it!
We're now going to spend an hour questioning why we did that.
I drove in traffic for this.
It's too much Pokemon in my early development, and not reading enough books.
Too much Pokemans.
Yeah,
I wasn't allowed to play Pokemon because our pastor said it was of the devil.
yeah, they're little demons, right?
Right, well, it's pocket monster.
Mm.
And I found, as a young child, a Pokemon card laying around in the church, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I found a Pokemon card. It's just so crazy. It's all shiny and reflective, and
Right.
this, like, this middle-aged man loomed over the pew behind. He's like, hey, son, what you got there? He's like, don't you know that these cards emblemize Satan? You can't have this card. Yeah. And he like talked to my mom. He's like, did you know your son is getting into Pokemon? She's like, no, I had no idea.
I'll speak to him.
I never go to a store. I'm a kid. I'm like 8 years old.
Right.
I found this on the ground.
Also, you have 11 brothers and sisters, right? So
Right.
Your parents are not exactly going out of their way to get you
Bunch of
Pokemon
random
cards.
cards.
Yeah. I mean, those cards are expensive. I actually knew a man who was addicted to those cards.
Sure.
This was probably like 2014. He was a grown man.
Yeah.
And he was living with his parents. We both worked at Walmart on the night shift. And he got fired, and then his parents kicked him out. And then he had like all his belongings loaded in like a 1988 Nissan truck.
Mm.
And he had, I think he had $45 and an empty tank of gas and no food. And he went into a gas station because we were like helping him move and like secure all his belongings. He came out with like $25 worth of Pokemon cards.
Fuck.
I was like, my brother in Christ, what are you doing?
My brother in Christ.
He's like, some of these could be really valuable, man. He had those crazy eyes. You know?
So this is a gambling addict, honestly.
Yeah, I remember, that's sort of funny. I remember driving to Florida, and my parents at the time were like pretty trusting of homeless people. And so we gave this one guy a ride, and like we're just sitting in the back seat, and the parents are just, in the driver's seat and passenger
Oblivious.
seat. Oblivious to what's going on in the back seat. There's like a really strange homeless guy. Anyways, he just takes out his eye or whatever. This is back in the day, those old Pontiac minivans where like the electronic doors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. The thing lasted forever.
Mm.
I saw a meme the other day. I'm not really into cars. I don't know all the cars, but I think it was a Pontiac. They were like the U.S. when they deploy a Pontiac 2001 into Afghanistan. It's like a minivan flying out of a back of a cargo plane.
We're going to send all the Pontiacs to Afghanistan.
All the who? Is that a slur? Who are the Pontiacs?
This is my friend Afghanistan.
Many Pontiacs died to get this information.
Yeah. We're
Okay,
at war
listen.
with those Toyota Tacoma trucks.
Oh, yeah. Remember they ran an article on like CNN. It's like, where is the Taliban getting all their Toyota Tundras? And Japan was like, oops.
Did I do that?
Did I do that?
Oh, shit. This is all coming together. The girl that we don't speak of on this pod has all those hard drives from her deceased father that worked for Toyota,
Well,
but also
she
the
won't know who
CIA
that
at the same
is.
time.
Yeah.
She won't know who you're talking about, yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, I figure that I don't know. I shudder to think what could be on because so the man in question, we don't know him, but we heard third hand from the party that basically there was like a man and he had like hella encryption on like all his devices and a bunch of hard drives, but he wasn't a rich man, right? Because if you're encrypting all these hard drives, you think it's money, right? So I'm like, not a rich man, not in the CIA, not in the police, not a lawyer, encrypting a bunch of hard drives.
No, he worked for Toyota.
He worked for Toyota.
That's what he told his second family.
Oh, so that's okay. So it is a full circle then.
Yeah.
Well,
should we talk about just how bad cars are in general in the 2020s? I mean, they suck, right?
Well, I just bought this one. I bought this Ford Escape, and I am a little nervous about how long it's going to last.
Well, that's a Ford. I mean, because a Ford is like generally like $10,000 to $15,000 cheaper than a near peer competitor, but you're going to have to spend at least $10,000 on maintenance within the first 5 years.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Yeah.
I got my Honda. I'm still I feel pretty good about it.
Honda's a good car, man.
It is.
Honda Civic.
Yep.
2001. That's a chariot of the gods right there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't ever want to get a car that's got like all these computers in it.
Right.
AI. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
I just don't need it. What the hell do you need?
Well, you're just going to feel like you're constantly plugged in, right?
It's just going to break. It's going to need a software update. Like every year, there's more and more devices that just get bricked because the software is not supported.
Yeah.
There was a VR headset that came out in 2018, and as of, I believe it was January 1st this year, it's no longer supported in the cloud.
Yeah.
And this was a $2,300 VR headset.
Dang.
Yeah, it made it on Louis Rossman's channel. I don't know if you guys ever watch him. He's a New York bro, and he got started in tech repair. He runs a tech repair shop, maybe a couple of them. And he's also a prolific YouTuber, and I think he's trying to get a position in the Chamber of Commerce now or something like that. But he's just a real straight shooter. He always calls out bullshit like that, and it didn't escape him. But I mean, $2,300 in 2018, and 7 years later, it's a brick. That's a harsh toke right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy a car for $2,300.
Back to your point, yeah, it does seem like all these podcasters are ending up in Congress right now, or just in positions of power. Isn't that a funny path?
Well, this is the start of our presidential bid. Okay. We're running on one ticket, all three of us.
Yeah, racism.
We got to make the tickets bigger.
Bring back average white men again.
Yeah. We're just coming out clean from the get-go. I'm racist.
Mawa, make average white Mauga, make average white Maunga,
Mauga,
make average white men great again.
All right, there you guys. Are you fans of Jason Aldean? In any capacity?
No.
Name doesn't ring a bell.
Have you heard his song "Don't Try That in a Small Town"? I goofed on it before.
No.
It's a really dumb song. It's about how great small towns are. We look out for our own. We're going to get copyright strike for this. Well, he has a line I've made fun of many times where he's like, I got a shotgun my granddaddy gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. It's just a pointless song.
Okay.
But apparently the music video was banned for being racist. I guess there was like a famous courthouse in Tennessee where they used to lynch people, and he featured it in the music video or something. I don't know. So racism, very hot right now. Big ticket.
All the rage.
Back to lynching people, not specifically any ethnicities, but just,
just people in general.
Just people in general. Alex Jones seems to be of the variety that's pro publicly humiliating people, which doesn't seem like a bad idea. I think if people were terrified of, I don't know, inventing a vaccine that's going to kill off babies, maybe people wouldn't do it.
Yeah, you should be doing something real bad if we're going to publicly humiliate you. I kind of think it'd be funny for the right person. But, don't goof. Don't mess up on who you're publicly shaming.
Right.
That's worse than a death sentence.
Well, because people talk about that. There's a lot of people on, I guess they're far right, or I don't even know anymore. I really couldn't tell you, but they pointed out that, shame is a healthy thing. It's if you shamed people for being overweight, maybe they wouldn't be overweight, or if you shamed them for being a drug addict, maybe they wouldn't be a drug addict. Or maybe they would still be a meth head and they'd just be shamed for being a meth head, and then they would continue to do meth.
Andrew could organize them, though.
My babies, my street angels.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the problem with any punishment, no matter what the punishment is, and this is why I generally say like there probably should be more lenient with the punishments they hand out. I think we're actually worse now than they were before. Like I'll kind of stand on that. Is it generally just is like the people at the bottom that get that punishment, and the people at the top are going to still escape it. So if the court could be like, oh, you're going to stand in town square and be mocked, and people will film you on Instagram, it would just be like a bunch of traffic violators and like small time dealers. It wouldn't be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or anything like that. Like, and even if it was, like, they have the power to like take videos off the internet. You know what I mean? It's like a normal person doesn't. So
To be clear, I think Alex Jones just wants to hang Fauci.
Yeah.
well, that's pretty reasonable because the dude is pretty bad. He's a pretty bad dude.
Yeah.
And they've caught him a number of times because a few years later he came out and said, "To be clear, I never suggested we shut the country down." And then, you know, they just play the clip. He's like, I'm recommending to the president that we shut the country down.
Yeah.
That's a solid Fauci, by
It's
the
like
way.
he's just a liar. Like, he just lies. And apparently he was like torturing dogs in the COVID facility. He was like skinning dogs for some reason and like keeping them alive somehow. And
I think I
What the
got one
hell?
of those dogs at one point, man. I had
You got a
You
skin
got a
dog?
Fauci skin
I
dog?
had a very spooky half-human dog at one point that I was terrified of.
some of those dogs get pretty scary.
Yeah.
My family has a dog that he's still keeping around, still alive. It has dementia, it has like epilepsy, and it's like a paranoid schizophrenic essentially. Like, sometimes it'll be okay with you, and then sometimes it'll look at you like, "Are you a demon?" You know, like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
The
man.
dog literally screams, and then like the other dog will just like scream with it in solidarity. But it's not like barking; it's like an actual like. "Ah!"
Yeah, his name was Buck, and every time I went on a bike ride, the dog like busted through the wooden gate to go on bike rides with me. But yeah, he had like a weird snout. It's really strange, like a human personality. It's really terrifying.
And some of those dogs are pretty freakishly smart for no reason.
But I was doing a lot of shrooms at the time, so there was
Well, that had nothing to do with it, I'm sure. Totally unrelated.
Yeah.
Side note.
I was bothered by most things during that era of my life.
Hey,
I feel like of all the obnoxious people who use drugs, and like I feel like maybe the people who do shrooms are the most obnoxious.
yeah, Andrew.
Well, I don't do them anymore.
Right,
It's
right,
been,
right.
Because you got
three-
too obnoxious.
They're like, oh, they're so enlightening. You really will see the universe. You just take this fungi, ingest this fungi into your body, and you'll see the universe, and you'll see that we're all one, and God is fake. they always like round it up. With
God is not real. The
like,
newest
God
conspiracy.
is totally fake,
Yeah.
and Neil deGrasse Tyson is the best scientist ever. I saw a funny clip from, I think it was Bill Burr. It was Bill Burr. And he was talking about how basically the premise of the video is that Elon Musk is not as smart as he makes out to be, which should be obvious to anyone that this dude is not really tremendously smart. He's just a good businessman and very, very sharp-minded. But he's like, any idiot could be on a podcast. I'm an idiot and I'm on a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you have like doctors and lawyers on podcasts now, generals, like military officials on podcasts.
That's
like,
what we need, by the way.
hell no. Hell no.
So if you're watching, military officials, and we know you are,
We
Nick
know.
is our military official.
resident military official,
Oh, man.
officially.
But it's like, how do they have time for this? These allegedly like successful people with these like important jobs. Or who's that man?
Sean Ryan.
No. He's a Republican, but he's like Latino. He's really popular right now. He's got kind of an oily face. He, like,
Oh, is he
slicks
always
his hair back.
screaming? And he's like sort of aggro a little bit.
He's been known to scream at like conventions and stuff like that. Ted Cruz.
Oh,
How does Ted Cruz have the time to be on a podcast and Twitter and like making all these videos?
Ted Cruz screams at conventions?
They'd be like, freedom! And he's like trying to sound like Mel Gibson, but he sounds like a little beta cuck.
Oh, no.
Freedom!
it got me. I voted for him.
Ted Cruz, if you're watching.
I mean, I know it's been a long-running thing that politicians spend more time getting elected than doing anything else, but how are you a publicly elected servant and you are just chilling on a podcast, which I assume he makes all the money from? Like, don't you have a job? Aren't you supposed to be doing something? Don't you have a position or something? Like, we're three nobodies. We have no great responsibilities to
We're
anyone.
future presidents, though, on the same
right,
ticket.
Right. Every American is a future president.
There's a future president in you.
Right.
Get him out of there.
But no, that goes into that old American myth. Like, I can't remember who said it, but he's basically like, they trick the working class into believing that they're all millionaires in the making. Like, no, you're not poor. You're not destitute. You haven't got there yet.
Millionaire in training.
You are a millionaire in training. You just get your training wheels on. And I know that you're saddled with an insurmountable amount of debt right now, and you can't eat the good food, and you can't afford vitamins, and you can't afford to purify your drinking water, and you can't afford to protect your house from the 5G signals. And I know that you live with a bunch of meth heads who could cut or kill you at any time, and you're totally bereft.
Are you describing my life right now?
But you are a millionaire in the making.
Yeah.
We're all millionaires in this country. You're number one because you're an American.
I really wish someone like early on told me that I would amount to a taxi driver.
It would be kind of cool because they had that one sci-fi movie where they just tell you what you're going to be. Mm-hmm. Like when you graduate high school, you take a final exam at high school, and then they just hand you this, and you're like, "Here's your job forever. Here you go." And like some people get to be like a politician. Some people. Is it that one?
Maybe. Yeah.
It could be that one.
The Giving Tree.
And they could give you some bullshit. They'd be like, "You are a janitor," but then forever, and there's you don't have to scramble or climb or do any of that. You just
false dreams.
But of course, the point of the movie is that they they still try to escape their fate and switch their identity. This kind of stuff was really popular in the 90s. Like, what's that one with Ethan Hawke where he like pretends to be a citizen in good standing? Gattaca. Pointless movie.
Oh, dude, the writing is so good. Yeah, I love that.
It is enjoyable, but it's so pointless.
Andrew Niccol. He wrote The Truman Show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Does he still write things? Or?
Yeah. I mean, like, he had a couple of flops. I can't even remember the name of that movie. But, yeah, he was coming out with a whole bunch of teen dramas / sci-fi movies back in the early thousands. But
I feel like that's the mark of a good artist, though, is that they've had a number of tremendous flops.
Oh, the most tremendous flops you've ever seen.
Awful shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen King has written a bunch of just awful books, right? They're just terrible, no good books. But he also had It and something else.
The Thing.
Did he do The Thing?
Yeah.
That's
really?
crazy.
I don't know. That was
The Shining.
I knew he did The Shining.
Mm-hmm. That's another example of a movie that's just extremely mid that people are obsessed with. I do like the cinematography, but really the movie just is so pointless. I hate any movie that has a kid on screen constantly. I feel like they should just...
You just hate child actors?
I do, and I hate that Hollywood is obsessed with them, and I feel like if they passed a law that said, you know what, you just can't have a kid in your movies anymore.
It's got to be an adult in kids' clothing.
Or a little CGI kid, or just like don't put a kid in your script. Like your scripts can't involve kids. That would not be that bad. There would be no problem with that because
it destroyed Jamie Kennedy's career.
They've done it to a bunch of those kids. They torture these kids. They twist them.
This is the regulation you want. The hell you want to die on? There's no kids in things.
You can't even think about a kid in your movie. Don't fucking write a script about kids.
I don't want to hear about a kid.
Until we find those 60,000 kids.
They're in a stadium, I know it. I'm going stadium to stadium. I'm going to find the kids.
And how about this? Don't bring your kid to a stadium. Like,
don't
bring your kid to a restaurant. I'm so sick of going out to get a meal.
Wait a minute.
The Democrats are going to nab them up.
First it was you didn't want them in stories. Now you don't want them eating. You don't want them anywhere.
No kids. No more kids. Don't have a kid.
Don't have a kid.
More kids.
Stop having sex, okay? We know where that's going to lead.
Yeah.
I just silence
That's 1 out of 3.
Well, it's funny because they push all these methods to have,
Oh,
you know.
I am breaking this chair, I'm pretty sure.
That chair has been doomed.
It's already sort of-
Oh, no, it's going in the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have all these methods where you can have, safe sex, quote unquote, and
Yeah.
they have contraceptives. They have spermicidal lube, condoms, female condoms, morning after pill, the shot. The vaginal device, the name of which I can't remember.
And it's all in acronyms, right? It's like
All acronyms. Always.
AT&T, CNN,
Yeah.
FOX.
It's like, what does it
Yeah.
really do, right? But they have all these ways that you can have sex without having kids. And you'd think it would create like this hypersexual society where people are just having sex constantly. But it's just not, But I think it comes down to women, right? Because women
Oh, boy.
women are the true gatekeepers of society, right?
Yep.
I mean, women run society, right? We can acknowledge that women have always run society, even when like they used to beat women and women couldn't vote and couldn't drive and couldn't work a job. Women still ran society. I mean, there's no question, right?
Mhm.
Because they are the gate right there.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are really into the slut shaming movement, the prudish movement. Like they're the ones who are really pushing back against like the e-girls and stuff like that. Like I feel like 3 out of 4 guys just don't care.
Mm.
They're like, well, I wouldn't personally date an e-girl, and I'm not subscribing to an e-girl page, but I don't care.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I don't realistically care. Like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Because she could also be a meth head, or she could do any number of things that would make her totally like off the table for me as a romantic partner. I think it's really women who are like, oh, no, don't sell your body online. Don't post naked pictures online. Don't be too free with these guys. You got to gatekeep these guys, right? Don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy that can't get no love from me,
Let him go, Andrew.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let this man cook. He's cooking up scrubs.
But it's like, if you're not going to have a kid anyway, and you're not going to be in a relationship anyway, why does it fucking matter?
Mm.
Couldn't he be like a retarded person that's handsome? Like, couldn't you, you know what I mean? I don't know. You tell me if I'm on.
We love a handsome retard.
Well, that's how Ben Affleck got his millions. Right?
Oh, boy.
No, it's funny because they apparently...
Daredevil's coming for you, my friend.
You won't see him coming.
I'm going to break my knees like Michael Clark Duncan. That's how Michael Clark Duncan died in real life. Ben
Affleck fucking killed him?
He broke his knees in filming of Daredevil. They're like, listen, Mikey boy, Mike, look, I hate to tell you this. There's no practical way to fake breaking both knees at once. You're just going to have to get them broken for the shoot, kid.
I guess that's a Ben Affleck impersonation. Yeah.
Mikey.
Yeah. Let's go rob a
What the
bank.
fuck is this?
It's my impression of a Hollywood sleazeball.
Yeah, get the kids out of everything. No more kids.
Yeah.
And if you don't grow up, we kill you.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to give you 18 years to reach adulthood. If you haven't hit it by then, you're dead.
When I'm your president again, I'm going to make it. You grow up by 18 and we kill you.
No, but actually a lot of these millennials and Gen Zs and Gen As would just die because there are a lot of, we're in the age of the man-children, right?
Mm-hmm.
The age of the what?
The age of the man-child.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right, I'm down.
Like, I hate adulting. I don't want to adult today. I want to go to box lunch.
I wish I could be in a film.
We broke.
He's tickled. We tickled Matt.
I'm back.
We broke him. That's awesome.
Get the kids out of it. Don't write about them. Don't talk about them. Oh, God. Oh, okay. All right, I'm back. We're good.
But no, it would open the door to a Home Alone reboot made in 2026, right? Because the movie came out in 1993, so they've already passed the 30-year mark. But they do a Home Alone reboot, right? And they can't get a
Still
child
Home
actor.
Alone.
So they just bring Macaulay Culkin back. He's just
Well,
playing
here
a
I am,
12-year-old
I'm Macaulay
boy.
Culkin.
He's like,
I'm
I
back.
hate you guys and I want you to go away. A cheese pizza just for me.
I hate this fucking podcast.
He's the one doing the robbing for some like meth money.
That would be
Joe
pretty good.
Pesci's dressed as a kid.
And Joe Pesci's corpse. They just reanimate him with AI.
This freaking
freaking kid. Oh, he hit me with an iron. He bashed me with a face with an iron.
Get that kid out of this story.
You know, they made like, I think it's 5 or it's 6 Home Alone movies. They made a lot more Home Alone movies
Yeah,
than
I
you
followed
would
it up to the third one, I think.
They had a
Yeah.
cinematic universe, right? Of kids being home alone.
Yeah.
Well, they're home alone because they can't be in anything, including restaurants and stores. Get them out!
Yeah.
Oh
Nick does not like kids.
my god!
I really don't like kids.
This is some weird. What is this? Ageism? I don't even know.
It is ageism.
Okay.
It's a hate crime. This is a hate crime,
It's
right?
a
Well,
hate
I mean, to
crime.
Nick's credit, I picked up this family, and there was a baby just crying the whole time.
And it ruined it.
And the mother and the father was just
That's what they do.
miserable.
In case you
They didn't
don't know.
say a single word.
Didn't
It
even
was
try to
just
stop the baby,
a
right?
quiet sadness in their eyes.
Yeah.
And like they were both awake, but they were both dead
Wow.
to everything.
Awake but asleep.
Well, the state owns that child. That's why.
Well, then they should be able to keep him out of things.
That's the thing is like you spend. I think they estimate it costs like $1 million, which probably now is like $2 million. It's like average $1 million to raise a kid from infancy to 18. Like when you factor in like cost of the birth, shoes, formula, clothes, books, transportation, meals, lodging. Like if you think about like a room that you put your kid in, you could probably rent out for at least $750 a month. Over 18 years, you can see how it adds up. Like easily a kid costs like $1 million. So I mean, you know, technically my dad should be a millionaire several times over.
Alcoholic roommate or a child. Sort of the same thing. Dealing with the same stuff.
But then ultimately the state owes that child, which is why they could come in and retake custody of that child. Notice that word retake, not take, retake, implying that the custody was theirs to begin with. Like that child is not yours. And you can't put it to work on your farm or something because they made that illegal.
Can't put it in a film either.
You can't put it in the mines. The children cry out for the mines. The children long to be back in factories. That's where they really belong.
This is never going to air.
Well,
They always are.
possession is 9/10 of the law, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
The
say.
Democrats know that when it comes to kids. Right?
I feel like people just whip that out when it's convenient. Like possession is 9/10 of the law, but the bank owns your house because they have a piece of paper saying they loaned you money for the house. It's like, how does that work exactly? What is the logic behind that? It's my house.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a science doctor.
I'm not a scientist.
I'm not a
I just hate
scientist.
kids.
He does, folks. And you know it now. Oh, wow.
Are your tubes tied?
Hell no.
No. Okay.
I would never get an unnatural, aberrant procedure like that.
Oh, okay.
I would never, it's not called tubes tied when it's a man either. It's called a vasectomy.
Okay.
They basically like take your balls out and put them on a table and then they like reattach them. It's insane.
Yeah.
I can't even
What?
conceive. Yeah.
That's what they do?
It's a way more
What?
intense procedure than they act like. They act like, oh, it's just a little snip. Like, nah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Leave my balls alone.
And then they're like, oh, we can reconnect it whenever. We can reactivate it.
We
But
can
sometimes
rebuild them.
It just doesn't. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
They're like, whoopsie poopsie.
And then like sometimes your dick just doesn't work after it. And whoops.
Oh shit.
No more kids for you. So
I've had a
not
bunch
what
of
we
women
want.
ask that, like, why are we using condoms? Why are we using birth control? Why don't you get? Because I'm not a retard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's always after they talk about like life insurance packages, and then they're
Right.
like, "Hey, can you tie your tubes?" Like,
Huh?
yeah.
Should you put me in a will or something? Like what?
You can't have kids. It's illegal for them to do any job at this point.
Man.
or be anywhere.
Well, but it is a serious question because I'm half joking. I mean, I do get really annoyed seeing kids out at restaurants and places and movie theaters. But I understand that, like, for a number of people, their primary ambition in life is to have kids. And I get it. I'm not going to say it's wrong either. It's probably a healthy thing to desire because that's like how humans evolved. But it is interesting when you look at all these policies and it's like, well, how do they really feel about kids? You know what I mean? With all these laws that keep passing, oh, you have to send a kid to school. You can't put them to work. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's like, well, what is your end goal with kids then?
Right.
What are you wanting to happen with kids?
What are we doing with the kids? Not putting them in films.
But it's funny because actually a lot of states are like fighting hard against child labor laws. Are you guys tuned in on this?
No.
I think it's like Iowa or some shit managed to get it so that now you can hire a 15-year-old in a factory. And they're trying to push it even lower. The U.S. military. So basically, the U.S. military was legally allowed to recruit at 17 as long as they were projected to graduate. So you could have someone as young as like 17 in 1 month in boot camp. And they're trying to push it back to they can recruit at 15 and get them in boot camp at 16. Like, this is a real thing they're trying to do because they want to get them as young as possible when they're nice and malleable. You know what I mean? They don't want them to get all out of shape and addicted to vape and, you know, doing methamphetamine and catching STIs and doing. They want to get them, you know, young and train them up. So yeah, child labor law. It's definitely on people's minds. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it is kind of a significant thing, isn't it? Because I mean, if you can have these kids working, then you know what the hell are we gonna do?
If kids can work, there's no limit to what can happen in this world.
Well, this country was built by children working, wasn't it? Among other things, they had hella. We won World War II. We had like 13-year-olds fighting in World War II.
13 one-year-olds? What'd you say?
13 one-year-olds and 14 13-year-olds fighting in World War II, and that's how
that
we
was
won.
WW2, y'all.
I mean, that is our pinnacle, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, World War II. I miss when we were fighting the bad guys. I miss when we were the good guys." Like, bro, we had children fighting, you know. And now they're all, "Oh, well, we don't do child warfare. We're, you know." Oh, okay, we'll wait until World War III, and then we'll see what we're doing about child warfare.
The more kids you have fighting, the better. That's what we say.
Well, it's funny because children are better combatants than adults, basically.
Oh, they'll fight.
They will fight the hell out of you.
Yeah. They're stupid little muscles.
No fear of death.
Well, they're harder to hit,
Child
first
muscles.
of all. And then with a child, because they're so small, the average round from a rifle will just blast right through them. And just clear through, right? You want the round to stop.
What the fuck? Them kids are bulletproof.
This is real shit. You can
read I believe it.
DOD
Where
articles
can we
on
find
this.
a kid to actually test this out?
Indeed, where? Indeed, where?
We say where?
The DOD is like, where do we find children to test out our 5.56 munitions on? Oh, Afghanistan, the Middle East. Okay.
And if you grease the kids up, there's nothing that can be done.
You can't wrestle them.
You can't wrestle them.
You can't wrestle them.
You cannot wrestle them. You can't shoot them.
No.
You can't put them down. You can't put them in film. Can't go to restaurants. Keep them out of the cars if they're crying.
Well, that's actually why the Russians, because, okay, so in the Cold War, the United States adopted 5.56 as their standard round, and the Russians adopted 7.62 as their standard round. 7.62 has a higher penetrative power. The Russians wanted it because it blasts through body armor and like sand barriers easier. But downside of that, you got a skinny little like Middle Eastern man with no body armor at a medium range. It's just going to clear right through them. Yeah, and then they're going to roll them off and fix them. So if you want to actually shoot them and kill them, it's got to hit the chest and stop in there. You know, that's how you get a kill. So they're actually thinking about going even lighter than 5.56 for that exact reason, because if they're not wearing body armor, then 5.56 is actually slightly less effective at some ranges.
Glad that's settled.
I'm really glad we aired that out.
Yeah. Children warriors. That's what it is. They can't be in films. They can't go to restaurants, but
they can go to war.
Just got to grease them up.
Grease them up. An invincible little warrior on your hands.
Some of that P. Diddy oil.
Andrew Potter, everyone.
Oh, you know what's funny? I was checking our last video that we put out, and
Yeah.
YouTube now has a feature where I guess through AI they analyzed the video. They didn't tell me about this.
shit.
We didn't opt into it. They just did it.
What did they find out about us?
And they now list people that are mentioned in the video.
Oh, okay.
So the last one, it was like
Elon's coming.
Donald Trump, Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
P. Diddy, and like a few other people. I was like, who mentioned Diddy? And then I remember that you said like no Diddy at some point, and so now we're gonna get Sean Combs featured in this video again.
And greased up kids.
Greasy kids. All kids are greasy. You can't trust them. But you can trust them to fight their freaking life off. Oh. So bad.
We're gonna get demonetized,
The
guys.
jig is up.
Let's see how far we can go with this.
I don't think Honey's not gonna sponsor
Let's
us.
see how far we can go with greasy kids. Answer, not very far. We'll slide right out of there. You know, people come out of other people. What's up with that? Oh.
It's like Manitoba mud wrestling or something.
This will never air in Canada now.
Was it Mr. Skillion who was here last time that said they're trying to annex Canada or something like that?
Oh no, they're. Oh yeah, annex. Yeah.
I mean, have y'all read anything about it? I haven't seen anything about it. So.
I picked up this blue-haired, angry liberal lady from some kind of.
Oh, they're always so angry.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been self-explanatory. I picked her up at the doctor's office or the psych ward, so I should have knew what I was getting myself into. But immediately, right off the bat, she was just like, "Did you hear about Donald Trump? He's trying to make Greenland and Canada, you know, he's
Part
trying
of
to,
America."
Yeah, steal Greenland and Canada." And so she was just,
More for us.
lovely to deal with.
Just charming individual.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if she heard it and she's worried about it, it must be true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that they're just winding us up just so they can like make things real. Like, because maybe it wouldn't be real until we get wound up about it, and then we think about it, we think about it, and then it kind of like manifests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all believe
Sure.
in that process of
Yeah.
making things real, but it's like maybe the surveillance state was impossible until they convinced us it was possible. Maybe space travel was impossible until they convinced us it was real. You know. Maybe if we just like put our foot down and we're like, no, surveillance state is impossible. Child soldiers, not possible.
Well, now we know that they are, and they're the most effective. So can't unhear it. Okay.
I've been fighting hard not to bring up African African civil wars and the use of child soldiers there, but
Well, then I guess we won't.
don't bring up the butt naked general.
Let's go there.
Africa?
Yeah.
I'd be down.
But naked African generals.
No, there was an
Are they
actual
14 and greased up?
there was an actual terrorist. He was a warlord in Africa, and he went by the nomer the butt naked general.
Couldn't touch him.
This is a real person.
He was untouchable.
He can really be looked up, and he was famous for, among other things, sending his soldiers into battle high on methamphetamine and butt ass naked. And of course they were many of them were child soldiers. So that was, you just knew your day was over when like you hear the horn sounding and you look over the hill and you see a bunch of naked people on methamphetamine running in the village. That's when you knew it was over. And people would like see this and okay, I'm committing suicide. Because
That naked guy.
you did not want to get caught by the butt naked general.
Title of the podcast. Subtitle: No kids allowed.
YouTube would be like, is this video made for children?
Can't wait to see the person tag for butt naked general.
I'm gonna look this man up right now because I sense that
Please
y'all
don't.
need to
Now
see
we're
him.
gonna...
Yeah. We
Yeah.
need proof. Yeah.
People don't believe me. They're like, okay, well, this is another one of those things you're making up, or this was in a movie or something. Like,
Oh no.
no, this was a real person,
Oh.
and I'm pretty sure he also eventually like converted to Catholicism and like got away with.
Well,
all
he
his
needed a
crimes.
change.
General Butt Naked.
Oh, there he is.
Liberian preacher, born September 30th, 1971.
He's clothed, so I don't believe it. But okay.
Well, so the thing is,
Literally general butt naked.
General butt naked. He's a Liberian
What?
evangelical preacher, writer, and former warlord.
Yeah.
What
Best known for his actions during the First Liberian Civil War.
Good Christian fellow.
Why
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
his first name be Lee?
This
General
man-
Lee butt naked.
He caught and raped and ate like thousands of human beings.
Oh God!
And
Now it's
then
real.
He
Oh, boy.
eventually got away with it.
Hang on, let me look at that.
Was pardoned.
He's just chilling on a couch.
He's just chilling, and you can see videos of him going to like the families of people who he ate,
no.
and he's like praying with them. He's like, "Let me pray away the evil. The Lord has forgiven me for what I've done. Let me pray away the evil." And they're like, "Please leave. Please get away from me."
Sir, this
I
is
wonder
a
if
Wendy's.
he's pre-trib or post-trib. Yeah.
I'll put it in front of the camera.
Oh.
I don't want anybody to take my word for this. There you go, right there.
They have the internet.
They're not gonna look it up. They're not gonna. That's the thing.
They're
like, I
kids.
tell
They're at
people
home.
about
They
it,
got nothing to do.
and they're like,
That's-
"No, I'm not gonna look
They
it up.
can't
I'm
be
not
in a
gonna
film.
look it
Yeah.
up."
We're not fighting a war. They're not greased up fighting for this country.
I told about this to several people, and they basically said like, "I'm not going to endorse your racism by looking him up." That's basically what they said.
So now you're forcing
This is
it on.
not racism.
Great.
This is a real war criminal
General Lee
who
butt
is
naked.
alive today.
That definitely seems to be the play. Like if you killed somebody, or if you're like running a prostitution ring in the military at Fort Hood,
Oh boy.
if you convert to Christianity,
It's
you're
all
good,
gone.
dude.
It's all wiped
You got
away.
yourself a
Yeah.
church. Basically, you're cleaning some money.
Yep.
You're doing some good. Join a nonprofit, get some money that way. You know, nobody will know that you're still getting checks from the military because you took the hit
Right. Exactly.
for your higher ups.
And like, I'm proud of my faith, but I mean, we should probably talk at some point about like people just like abusing the principle of like eternal forgiveness.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like God will indeed forgive you for anything. It says so in the Bible, but like that doesn't mean that humans should forgive you and you should get away with this. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think it does say humans should forgive you, but there will be consequences.
it
That's
says
what
you
people
should
don't
forgive
understand.
your brother 7 times 7
Oh, okay,
times.
just my brother. All right.
Just your brother. The man
Your
who,
sister,
who
though.
caught and ate your family member does not necessarily
Because
need
you
to
didn't
be
have
forgiven.
enough greased up kids to
Yeah.
fight them off.
Well, if they had an army of greased up Liberian children, they would have been fine.
Everything would have been great.
What stops a man with a greased up Liberian child? A good man with a greased up Liberian child.
This has been
Fuck yes.
the questioning hour. Where we're questioning what the hell we're doing.
One in the hand keeps one in the sheath.
You're
Okay.
questioning
Turn the
why
cheek,
you're
baby. Turn that greased up cheek, man. Turn that greased up child cheek.
Upside down. Oh, we're taking the Greenland though. We're gonna get them.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's
Michael,
ours.
That's what I told that crazy liberal lady. I was
It's
like,
ours.
I'm going. Yeah, I'm gonna get some property up there.
fucking
She's like,
ours.
why would you? That's terrible. You're gonna occupy Greenland? And I was like, fuck yeah.
Did you ask her? Because you're more magnanimous than I. Cause I would have just been like, well, what the fuck is in Greenland?
Oh,
Like, she's all keyed up about Greenland. What the hell is over there? I don't know what's over there. Do you know what's in Greenland?
Soon
Well,
to
it's
be
gonna-
Andrew Potter.
it's gonna thaw out, right? That's the with the core of the Earth is slowing down, right? So like the magnetic field is sort of shifting. I don't fucking know. I'm not a politician.
If we fart a lot, will it change anything?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Good,
want
'cause I've been
Greenland.
working on it.
I want to farm in Greenland, man.
You could probably buy land there right now.
Yeah.
I think just about anyone
I said
can,
farting.
can
You
go
think I
to
said
Greenland.
farming?
Oh no, yeah, no. I'm gonna have a little farm in Greenland once it thaws out.
He's gonna fart on the farm in
It's a
Greenland.
fart farm.
Yeah.
Operated greased up.
Well, I know this is
14-year-old.
serious, but that's what Eric Prince is aiming to do. So he's buying or he's stealing land in Africa in order to feed China to combat the fact that Russia eventually is going to thaw out and not only be an oil superpower, but they're going to be an agricultural superpower too in the near future. And so, like, if you ask a Russian, they'll all admit, yeah, like the North Pole is shifting. So, like,
Because they're moving it, right? They're going up there and they're picking it up
yeah,
and putting it over there.
Precisely.
They just
Well,
move it
they're
a little.
sending their underage workers to go push the North Pole, and every day they just line up and they push it a little bit, and then they go back and they get
Right.
the sippy cup.
And now they're gaslighting the rest of the world that anything's moving at all.
Vladimir Putin's like, child labor very bad. don't
Greased
don't
up
do
children.
child labor.
Greased up children cannot do
We in
anything.
Russia don't endorse child labor.
Not anymore.
Only need greased up children if naked warlord come for.
That's interesting. I
The
really had
grease
never thought
doesn't
about
handle
that.
well in the cold.
Because yeah, that's an icy, desolate place, Russia.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's not like
Yeah.
it's like a huge place and it's mostly empty, right? It's
I mean,
pretty
it could
big.
be their own psyop. The fact that it's going to thaw out eventually, who knows? But
I mean,
I don't know. But why is Eric Prince stealing land in Africa in order to provide food for the world because they're terrified
He's
Russia
getting the naked
eventually is
warlord
how
out.
dare he
Yeah.
provide food for the world? Well, here's a question. And at the risk of sounding intransigent, when you say steal, how is he? I mean, when you say steal, do you mean that he's going over there and just buying land?
I don't even think he's buying land. He's just occupying land. So he's taking like the villagers' property and stuff like that, and making it legal through LLCs and companies and all this stuff. I don't.
I mean, I would be interested
Saw it on the
to
tubes,
look
that's
into it
fine.
more. Because
Yeah.
Eric Prince is a pretty interesting entrepreneur. You know, he would have provided, he was ready to build a service where you could basically dial a drone on your cell phone app and just have it come in and bomb. Like, you just take a picture of something and then a drone would come bomb it. You
Let's see
know.
if I can get my drone to come bomb this.
He could have revolutionized the entire scape of air-to-air combat and like air support, basically. And the U.S. military and government was like, no, no, we don't.
Not
Nah,
bad.
you're good. You're good. Just stick with the Blackwater, which he's renamed like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Because if you look up Blackwater, it'll say that like, oh, it was sued and it was caught in these war crimes and now it's gone, but like, it's not gone. He's renamed it and reformed
Well, no,
it
that's the
several
company
times.
that's occupying territory in Africa. Yeah,
But it's not called Blackwater anymore, is it? Or are they
I don't
still
know.
called Blackwater now?
I don't know. I just saw it on YouTube, man. I don't know anything. That's why I'm relying on you.
No, don't rely on me.
Oh.
I can tell you.
And that's the
You're our military representative, man. As far as I'm concerned, you're the authority
Just a
figure
goof.
here.
I just read crazy things on the internet once and never forget.
You're sitting like a tied up hostage right now. It's just not.
yeah.
Oh wow.
But yeah, sometimes I wonder, because I hate to be like one of those people who is like, well, where is the system? Because I know the system fails people all the time. And I mean, Americans who legally own their homes get it stolen too in order that they can build highways and shit like that. Like, they'll straight up make you sell your house. You know, they'll steal it from you. They may
Eminent
not-
domain.
Yeah, they may not give you what it's worth. But it's like, so when he's going over there and he's like buying or stealing property from these people, like, did they really own it or were they just squatting on it? Because not every country considers like squatters' rights to be a thing. It is mysteriously a thing in the United States, and they're working very hard to get rid of it, which I'm not convinced is a good thing. So basically, we'll just say for the audience members who aren't aware, squatters' rights essentially means you find an area, let's say you find a house like this, there's no one inside, you move in and you spend a certain number of time there. You can eventually argue to the courts that since you've lived in this property for long enough, and since you've maintained this property and repaired it and paid property taxes on it, even though it's not yours, it was not yours, you've been here long enough, you can actually get the court to just give you the property. It's pretty crazy. And a lot of South Americans are basically hip to this scam, and they come over here and they do exactly that. They'll look for an empty property and they'll try to just move in and take it. And politicians, especially on the right, on the red side of the aisle, are saying, "Oh, this is a crime. They're stealing houses, and we're gonna shut it down. We're gonna shut down squatters' rights, and we're gonna get rid of it." And I'm like, I feel like that's just a bid to make it easier for corporate America to buy us all out of our property. Because when you think about it, if you get a mortgage for a home and you go delinquent on that mortgage, but you've been living in that home for like 15 or 20 years. Shouldn't squatters' rights basically protect you, at least some degree? Couldn't you argue on some level that, like, hey, I've been here for this long, this is my home. You should get, I mean, whoever gave you that loan is not in that house, right? And I feel like that's kind of important. How can you have never been somewhere? How can there be like a car in Timbuktu that you have never personally driven? You weren't there. You've never even seen it. How can you like argue that that's your car, right? When again, possession is 9/10 of the law, which is that big buzzword. So, yeah, I kind of feel like that's a scam and that squatters' rights probably is there for a good reason and that they shouldn't get rid of it. But back to the Africa thing, I don't know that every country considers like squatters' rights to be a real thing. Like some of those people could have just been squatting. Again, I have no idea. I don't know. They could have
Fact check
owned
Well,
us.
Eric Prince
Internet.
could do no wrong because he was on Steven Crowder, right?
Oh, wow.
So like he's a good
Louder
dude.
with Crowder.
And Eric Prince invented a cell phone that can't be tracked, right? And trying to sell it to the general public. So sounds like a good dude to me, right?
I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, is anyone really a good dude?
No.
Maybe one guy.
I mean, he single-handedly basically fought like half the war in the Middle East, the war on terror, and like a lot of it was him. Like there were a shocking number of his people over there and other private military companies, but like the U.S. military on their own would probably not have been able to do even what they did over there. So if you're arguing that the U.S. military is doing something good, then he must be doing something good. And if you're arguing that they just went over there so they could like continue training their soldiers on killing people, then I guess he would be a bad guy too because he was part of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never met the guy, so
I don't even know what he looks like. I'm picturing like a white man with like a flat top haircut.
yes, precisely.
That's him.
Let's look him up because we
Got him.
blew up General Butt Naked. We blew up a good, decent
His
preacher.
actual name, not even defamation.
He had his name legally changed to it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Reverend. Does he have a
Eric.
reverend in there?
I don't know. Okay, he looks basically like how I imagine. Eric Prince, American businessman and investor,
There he
born
goes.
June 6,
He's got that V.
1969.
Yeah. That V is a sign of authority, baby.
He's got a little swoop in there too. He's got a
Yeah.
little Superman going on. There you go. Eric Prince, ladies and gentlemen. Our next guest on the podcast. Oh, he's written several books too. Civilian Warriors, The Inside Story of Blackwater, and The Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're the unsung heroes.
Yeah, his climb to fame was basically creating a whole economy of like a revenue stream for his, private military group. In
Well, where did he
Afghanistan, right?
come from? How did
So
he
like
get started?
he was, I think he was drilling oil, him personally and his company, and I think that's how Blackwater came about. So they got oil rigs out there so that they can actually like have a revenue stream in order to do various things. Yeah.
Get those black dollars,
Yeah.
black gold, right?